This entire topic is making me itch, y'all. It's making me itch. It's making me itch. The things that we're exposed to, but we're going to talk about it. But everything that we do with our scalp, whether it is braiding our hair, throwing on a wig, or doing some crochet, but there is a problem with these products. It is still plastic. You can't make plastic healthy. Carcinogenic, endocrine disruptors. Let's be familiar with these terms. Conscious consumers is what we want to be. And they even have the hot pot on there. Y'all, toss that stuff out. Hey, you guys, thank you for joining us for part 2 and the conclusion of this amazing topic. We hope you are feeling more like a conscious consumer. We hope you also checked out our information about natural spas and using non-toxic nail products. We're going to take a deep dive back into where we left off, talking about endocrine disruptors and carcinogens in everyday products that we use. So if you haven't checked out that video, make sure you head back there so that you can understand the references made in this video. So did you guys answer the question? Did you figure out whether or not using vinegar to soak your synthetic hair actually decreases the toxins? Which hair product actually claims to support our microbiomes better? Let's hop right back into it, and don't forget to click subscribe. So the problem with synthetic hair is that it contains monocrylic fibers, and monocrylic fibers contain two well-known cancer-causing substances, acrylonitrile and vinyl chloride. So acrylonitrile, according to the EPA, which is the Environmental Protection Agency, can cause cancer in humans. However, the National Institute of Cancer has linked vinyl chloride to several cancers, including leukemia, lymphoma, brain, liver, and lung cancers. Even though they are maybe coated in the synthetic hair and maybe in small amounts in the hair, the fact that we utilize these hairstyles for 4 to 6 weeks, and some of us a little bit longer, that continuous exposure accumulates in the body and becomes a very significant amount. So this is why this is very important. And some of us have tried things like using acetic acid. Okay, I've been on that ship too and ran with that bus, but I will tell you, I've always kind of questioned, who said this even works? Who was the person that said applying acid to the hair follicles, just thinking biochemically, biochemistry was a hard class, but it actually left me with some thought process, just applying a acid to the hair products. How do we know that that even makes a difference, right? We've been soaking or have been buying into this belief that soaking our hair in vinegar, which is the acetic acid, will make a difference and decrease our sensitivity. Now, I will say, when I've tried it, I definitely have noticed less of an itch. I am very sensitive, and we need to also highlight and thank the bodies that are sensitive, because it's not that our bodies are sensitive. We're being exposed to toxins. Our bodies are doing exactly what they're supposed to do, which is alarm us when we are exposed to something that is highly toxic. That is what our immunity is supposed to do. So I'm now thankful, whereas used to look at my body as like, oh my gosh, why am I so sensitive? Now I'm so thankful that my body's sensitive, because now I have the ability to detect the alarm and know that that product has something in it that is potentially toxic. But for the most part, most of us, when we're itching and we're scratching, we're getting a rash, is because it's a toxin. First of all, you guys, let's be honest. We all know that synthetic hair is plastic, right? Like, we do know that. And we know that plastic is harmful. So why aren't we putting the 2 and 2 together? So since we know that this is plastic, right? This is literally plastic. It is not made of nothing else. I don't care what brand you buy. I don't care how lifelike or real like the brand is, how soft it is. And this is really soft, you guys. I mean, you should feel this. This is soft. But it doesn't matter the brand, you guys. It is still plastic. You can't make plastic healthy. There's just no way in making plastic healthy. And I don't care what type of additional benefits it's saying. It'll say things like anti-itch or antifungal, antibacterial, and that all sounds great. But then look what it says, water sealing. And they even have the hot pot on there. Y'all, toss that stuff out. Okay, let's talk about that for a minute. What we do know is not only is the vinegar not good, not effective, I should say, because it's taking off the coated layer and maybe some of the added debris and junk that gets on the hair, but you can't change what the hair is made out of. It's still going to be made out of the monocrylic fibers. You can't change those fibers. Toss that out too. So what we do need to know is also that process of heating up the hair, whether we're styling with our curling iron, our flat iron, why are we styling synthetic hair like that? But anyway, we're pulling that flat iron over that synthetic hair. Or when we dipping that hair in hot water to seal the ends. And I've been there. I have done that for sure. Or we are washing the hair with hot water. All we're doing is now releasing from the actual hair itself into the ear the substances. And this is potentially why these things have been linked also to respiratory issues. Now, this is for my hairstylists out there, because if anyone is exposed to these products, it's not only the customers that are wearing these hairstyles, but also we got to think about our hairstylists, you guys. They are constantly exposed. And how many hairstylists have you seen actually use gloves to do some braiding? It's cumbersome. I'm sure it's cumbersome because they have that kind of quick hand movement. So it's very important that they have the ability to touch the hair directly. So as you guys know, they are not using gloves. When they're dipping our hair into the hot water, they're actually touching the towel that has our hair in it. And then it hits our backs because it's oftentimes still a little wet. And that gets into our skin and into their skin and also into the atmosphere. This is a problem. So let's keep that in mind also. And we need to call somebody else to the front of the class. Yes, edge control. We got to call you to the front of the class, because while you may be controlling our edges, some of us have been losing our edges due to edge control. So that's another category. I'm just trying to call out all the categories of things that you guys got to be aware of and really start to look into what you are using for your hair. And it's a hard conversation, you guys. I get it. Have a quick schedule. I am busy. I like to be able to have my hair done and ready to go. And granted, this is the latest that my hairstylist and I have come up with. But you guys, it's not perfect, right? Because I put on a little bun for y'all to make sure I'm presentable, and then I put on a little headband. These are exposing me to chemicals, so I'm about to toss this off when I'm done. But the reason why we're trying to come up with reasonable options is because we do want the availability, ease, especially those who are moms, want that quick hairstyle to go. But now we got to think twice, because oftentimes, what do pregnant women do? What do pregnant women do? They do hairstyles that are easy and convenient for them. They are oftentimes in braids, crochets, or long braids, or especially when they are about to give birth. You always know that giving birth sign, because sisters will start putting their hair in braids when they're expecting to go into labor, or when they are scheduled to have their C-sections, right? That's oftentimes the sign that they are ready to go into labor and the child is about to arrive. We know that signal. And oftentimes they keep that hairstyle in the first few weeks after giving birth because it's just so much more convenient for them. But you guys, now we got to think about the breast milk. Like, whatever we are absorbed in our hair not only affects the in uterine child, but if we're breastfeeding, what chemicals are going into our breast milk? And the problem is, we don't oftentimes have a lot of testing to really test a lot of these toxins to even know how much is in our bodies. So that's problem number one. Perhaps we need to have legislation and the availability to be able to test for exposure to some of these are well-known chemicals that are either endocrine disruptors or potentially cancer causing. Perhaps that's one of the things we need to do. So put that on the list. I have another list of things that we need to do. And so there has been a Mielle debacle. That really is what was the catalyst for me choosing this particular time to come and have this discussion, because Mielle is a very beloved brand, right? Monique Rodriguez and her husband started this brand many years ago and have been really amazing at building this brand up to be one of the most successful hairlines in history in the United States, right? And I too, as you can see, the reason why I have the products in my house is because I have tried these products. For me, they weren't the most effective for my hair and what my hair needs are. But I did try this product because it was so popular, and has and continues to be really popular, not just in the Black community now, but other ethnic groups have caught on to really the fame of this particular hair drops. Now, granted, Mielle has and Monique Rodriguez and her husband have continued to be committed to producing hair products that are safe. Monique, some of you may not know, she is a nurse, so she started in the healthcare field. So she is knowledgeable about what's harmful to the body, or knowledgeable about getting the information at minimum to know what's harmful and what's safe to be used in her hair products. Now, the latest debacle happens as a result of the acquisition. So they were acquired by Procter and Gamble. It's a huge hair producing um uh what's the word? Packaging. Sorry, they're a huge producing packaging company that a lot of hair lines and hygiene products and beauty products come through. So a lot, if you look at Procter and Gamble, you will see that a lot of the products we use are coming through them, right? So they are humongous in when it comes to the beauty industry. So they were acquired and had a historic acquisition in terms of the monetary value, and not just the monetary value, but also the commitment of maintaining some control of the product line. So Mielle products is still being ran within Procter and Gamble by Monique and her husband and her team, who have been committed to not just making sure that the formula stays committed to being non-toxic, and also their commitment to Black representation on their team, from the chemists to those on the administrative team, but also to their philanthropic efforts, right? So just to kind of give you some background as to what Monique has shared on her social media platforms, publicly, what she is sharing about the company. This is their commitment to the Black community, because they're trying to balance the ability to gain this wealth to then put the wealth back into the community, which, in order to scale, as some of you may know, as entrepreneurs, scaling your business is really hard. And one of their goals was to become a global brand. But we also have to balance that with making sure that our sisters are heard. And so when we have sisters that are saying that they have noticed that they're having now more skin and scalp irritation, and that they're experiencing hair loss as a result of using the product, and they're concerns about the formula changing as a result of this acquisition, because whenever it's acquired by these big brands that are usually run by non-minority individuals, for the most part, we do get concerned. It does bring on a certain level of anxiety, because historically they have not been trustworthy. They are the reason why we have the issue with the hair straightening chemicals, right? And so there is a historic reason why we do not trust these particular companies. And so when our trustworthy brands are acquired by them, it brings on a certain level of concern that it should not be taken lightly. And they haven't taken it lightly. Not only were people having concerns about even some of their popular brands causing symptoms, which again, you can have dermatitis reactions to products that may actually work for someone else. But I do think we do need to pay attention to when people are raising voices, and it looks like they're trying to do exactly that. So apparently the other issue is that there is an intent to sue filed by the Initiative for Safer Cosmetics in May of this year against the product line for violating Proposition 65. It's known as Safe Drinking Water and Toxic Environment Enforcement Act of 1986, which is a California law that requires companies to disclose in the presence of any chemical that is known by the state to be potentially cancer causing. And there's over 900 chemicals on this list, right? There's one ingredient called DEA. Which is diethanolamine, right? So diethanolamine apparently is a product that is a chemical that's in the one of their strengthening shampoos. And so this is why the intent to sue was filed against Mielle Organics, linking it to this brand's strengthening shampoo. Now, granted, I know that one scientist have been quoting, I think it was in Alert magazine, that said that there are no product lines that's actually using this particular chemical, but there may be contaminant traces of the chemical found in products, and that is possible, but there is no intent to utilize this chemical in any type of product line. So apparently the clarification is that the intent to sue wasn't issued because the shampoo contained the DEA. It was issued because DEA's presence was not clarified on its label. And if you've seen Prop 65 labeling, you're familiar with what is required and how these labelings are usually done. Okay, so now that we've kind of have an overview of what's going on, let's talk about some solutions. So there are hairline products that are out there that are not the ones that are saying less irritating, because less irritating, a lot of those hairline products actually still contain harmful chemicals we found. So it's about using alternatives. So one alternative that I found, I actually encountered at BeautyCon. So I went to BeautyCon, which was hosted by Essence. And at BeautyCon, I encountered a hairline product that I thought was pretty interesting.
Hey, you guys, take a trip with me back in time as we head back to BeautyCon of 2023, where I first got introduced to this innovative idea. I will explain the details of this innovation in the next segment. I just wanted you to get a sense of how you can use the hair and get a closer look at what it is.
So as you see, that hairline product is able to give us the same styles that we so love and enjoy and have made our lives tremendously easier. So I am now a consumer, not yet a user, because I'm going to try it out. So one of the issues talking about that. So one of the challenges, as you guys know, with small businesses is always keeping up with demand. So now that there is increased awareness of the risk of synthetic hair, of course, there's going to be increased demand of hair products that are safe alternatives for us. And the ability of these businesses to scale while maintaining their commitment, as you see with Mielle, while maintaining their commitment to having healthier products is challenging, right? We have to admit that we don't yet have the framework in our business infrastructure within our community to upscale these businesses effectively. And as I should mention, Honey Pot had a similar incident or a similar issue with their acquisition as well. Honey Pot is our hygiene products for our monthly cycles, or our vaginal health area. So this is not a unique experience. We know that Carol's daughter had a similar issue or struggles when they were acquired as well. But nonetheless, we are looking for alternatives. And so this is one alternative. It's Rebundle is the brand. And it says braid better, right? Because it is giving us an alternative to braid better. And it is produced by banana fibers. So it's using the fibers of banana plants, which is a brilliant way of even further utilizing our natural resources to produce hair. And I'm telling you guys, this feels no different, actually even better. It feels a little bit softer. And apparently I was looking at cosmetic scientist website that was talking about the hair product. They actually measured the hair fibers, and the reason why this product can be used 3 more times is because the hair fiber is actually thicker, and so when you remove it from your hair, it removes better. Now, I don't know if you can see this up close. Let's bring this up close so you can really take a look at that. Okay, so this is banana fibers, y'all. This is banana. For banana lover, I'll take it however I can get it. Okay. But this is fantastic, you guys. The challenge is availability and pricing. So this is going to hit your budget hard, right? So for this bundle, I'll be transparent for y'all. For this was $45. Whereas you guys know for this, it's like $5, right? So $5, $45. Do you see the problem? Do you see the issue, right? We want more of this for the price of that. So it's up to us. Well, we gonna talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's just pack this away and let's really get into what can we do, because this is all alarming. I could tell you, even just talking about it is making me itch. And I had a really bad outbreak. This was what, maybe 2 years ago. It was so bad I didn't sleep for a whole summer, and I had to try to figure out what was causing my allergic reaction. Went to allergist, got all those needles in my back. That was not fun. And then found out that I'm allergic to a lot of things. So it didn't help me narrow down what the issue was, but I do think the synthetic hair I was wearing, which was also processed and dyed because I decided to get a little bit of a blonde in for the summer and have a little bit more fun. Well, I paid for that. I may have paid for that. And so I had this humongous rash. I don't even know if all of it is gone, but I had this humongous rash on my neck and I was itching all over my body. I was on fire. Like, I would take showers and my skin, even now to this day, when I do have a bad allergic reaction, I'm getting some lung issues as well. That is all from allergies and toxin exposure. Like, my body is not liking what y'all are doing to this earth. Okay. Um, and then I also had some lip products. Y'all, it's a situation. But needless to say, my body's tired of y'all exposing me to toxins. And the situation was really bad. I had to go to multiple specialists. No one could really pinpoint what it was, but we all had a few theories. And so I got rid of a lot of things. I had to get rid of my carpeting because my carpeting could have been the source. Because as you guys know, there are chemicals in our carpeting, there's chemicals in our furniture, right? There are environmental chemicals in almost everything that we're surrounded by. So I had to get rid of the carpet so that I can even sleep. And that didn't make my sleeping better. But you guys, we got to think about everything. We got to think about our pillows. What are we putting our heads on at night, right? What are we covering up with our comforters? What's in, even if the outside is cotton, what's inside? Because those allergens are going to start acting up and causing you to listen. This whole topic is making me itch. Anyway, so let's talk about how we can have safer options, because I gotta go. So one of the things that can help us have safer options is, the first thing that you need to know is that we do still have power. It seems overwhelming when we talk about our food products. I don't even touch that in the cereals and that controversy, or the orange juice and the packet, the bottles and that controversy. The food industry is a whole other industry that needs its own separate topics. But when we talk about, from our foods to our shampoos to our lotions on our skin to our deodorants, y'all, that let the body sweat, right? Let the body sweat. To our carpeting, to our clothing, to our hair products. It seems overwhelming, right? And if this is triggering your anxiety, take a minute, take a break, but I want you to come back because I got some things that will help you reduce some of your anxiety when you think about all of this. So one of the things we have to do is, when we have more information, when we know better, we need to what? Do better, right? And so when we have more information that tells us that we're putting our bodies at risk, then we need to start making choices where we can do better. So one of the things that we have to be mindful of is the major factor, right? We like easeability, so the ease of getting something, the access to what we want, and not having to drive 2 and 3 miles or wait 2 weeks to receive your order, right? Thankfully now I think they're on Amazon, by the way. I think they made a recent announcement, so they're on Amazon. So you'll get it quicker. But we don't want to have to drive far. We don't have to want to wait weeks, because sometimes we make a last minute hair appointment. So we want to be able to get our hair products like that. And so there are factors also of cost, and that is very real in this current economic environment internationally, because we've had global inflation, we've had issues. So I'm not ignoring the fact that there are real life conversations that need to be had. Nonetheless, if you can make a choice, if you can reduce your exposure, and there is a feasible alternative that is less toxic and has a price point that is doable, then you can make that choice, right? And the other thing that I've been alluding to throughout this entire talk is, pay attention to your body. If you're getting a rash, if you're getting itching, if you're getting a new disorder, your breathing is changed. You've been diagnosed with something. high blood pressure for the first time, your blood pressure is going up. In addition to exercise, and make sure you're doing all the healthy lifestyle changes that you should be doing anyway, like walking or some form of exercises regularly, making sure you avoid excess salt in your food and making healthier food choices. Also, look at the products you use. Are any of your regular routine products, including your detergents, putting you at unnecessary risk? Are any of your household products putting you at risk? And I know some of the issues and challenges is um, recognizing the names, the scientific names, right? Because companies are smart, right? They're savvy. They're not going to try to miss their coins. They're not going to have you mess up their coins, but we may need to. And so sometimes they will use alternate terminologies. Listen, internet search is our friend. I was going to say a company. Internet search is our friend, right? And we want to internet search as much as we can. What are the alternate names of XYZ? So today we have shared with you a number of endocrine disruptors, and we've shared with you some of the carcinogens that are out there, right? So whether it's BPA, you may not know what BPA is, but now you've heard of it, right? It's on the list. BPA or PCBs. Now you've heard these letters. Now you can look up and see what the full words mean. And we've provided some of that information throughout this video. But now you can also internet search and say, what are some of the alternative names? Like we talked about harmful sugars in one of our prior videos, and how harmful sugars are not necessarily just listed as added sugars. They may be under corn syrup or fructose or other types of sugars for us to recognize. It's important for us to be able to internet search, even if we didn't take Biochemistry 101 and 201. We don't necessarily need Biochemistry 101 and 201. We can also follow accounts where we follow these chemists, these women of color representation, black men of color representation chemists that are trustworthy, or accounts that are trustworthy that are doing the hard work for us to, like Healthy Bump Club, need I say more, to let us be informed consumers. Conscious consumers is what we want to be. And so the more information you have, the more you are able to make choices for not just yourself, but also your family, especially the little ones, the ones that are still inside and the ones that are outside. Okay. So pay attention to labels, pay attention to your body, choose better, right? We can do that. Now, also, let's treat the other thing that we talked about, I alluded to throughout this episode, is we have detoxifying organs. Let's help those detoxifying organs do their work. So it's going to be hard to completely detox your life, because it's going to take centuries for this to work, right? Because you got to change our lifestyle, our choices, our priorities, our morals, our companies, our priorities. And changing human behavior, as you guys know, it takes a long time. But in the meantime, what we can do is let's optimize the organs in our bodies that are detoxifying organs so that they can better do their job. So let's not toxify our liver with alcohol. Put down the bottle, right? Because that liver has some serious work to do. All these chemicals we've talked about has to pass through, a lot of them, our liver, has to pass through our kidneys. Our kidneys are working hard, right? So why some of these things have been linked, especially chemicals that are in these things, have been linked to bladder cancer in small studies, is because our kidneys also are trying to filter our blood from some of these toxins. And so we want to make sure we hydrate our kidneys. I'm talking to myself, because I need to hydrate my kidneys better too. And I do hydrate, but I can do better, right? We can all do better. So we need to hydrate those kidneys so we can flush them better, right? And when we flush them and hydrate them, we need to choose the bottles that we're drinking out of, right? It's water, but what is the water in? Because if the water is in a bottle that's toxic to us, then the water isn't helpful to us, but in fact is actually toxic. And so maybe using filters instead, and storing in glass bottles, maybe tossing out some of our plastics in our kitchen that we save when we order takeout. Am I in your kitchen yet? I hope so. Maybe tossing those out and getting containers that are glass containers. That also keeps out insects as well, by the way, but also will safely store our food products so that we're not exposed to these unnecessary chemicals. Even it may come in the plastic, but do you have to keep it in the plastic? And we take it out the plastic, put it in glass storage containers or steel containers that can go in your fridge. Maybe toss out that frying pan that's nonstick that we like because it's nonstick. But what exactly is causing it to be nonstick? You may want to look into that. But this is what I'm saying. Like, it's up to us to treat these organs, our skin better. Our skin is the largest organ. Be very intentional about what you put on your skin. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. When it comes to eating, keep it simple. Whole foods. You can't really go wrong. Get it organic so you minimize the pesticides. But if you keep it whole, you're going to be wholesome. You like how I did that? You like how I did that? But it's a serious topic, so let me get back serious. But nonetheless, treat your detoxifying organs very well. Treat your bowels well, because that's an entry point also. It's also a detoxifier. That's what stool is. The toxins, the waste, literally. You want to make sure your bowels don't have to work as hard, because if you're incorporating and eating a lot of toxins, then your bowels are working that much harder. So we want to love on our bowels. We want to love on microbiomes, which I didn't talk about, but apparently this product that I showed you is actually scientifically shown to be better for our microbiomes. Well, what does that mean? So for example, when we use hair products and we cover up our hair, certain types of synthetic hair, for example, are more likely to cause the fungal infections. Y'all, I can't put everything in this one video. Just kind of take these nuggets and run with them and do your own work, because I can't put everything in one video. And then finally, before we go, I want to touch on one more thing. So legislation, right? So now I want us to think about the big picture, right? So as I mentioned, for example, the clothing materials that are going on our skin that are not labeled petroleum, but are actually derivatives of petroleum. So now when we hear about these major industrial companies who are lobbying on Capitol Hill in the US and maybe doing similarly in your country, who are powerful enough to change legislation in their favor, where you're kind of like, well, I'm not exposed to petroleum, so it doesn't affect me. But yes, you are, boo. Yes, you are. You may be wearing petroleum, okay? And so mindful for us to pay attention to how these dots are connected and to pay attention to legislation and hold our representatives and our political leaders accountable. We want safer water. We want our pipes that carry our water to be safer. We want the transparency in these companies. They need to be transparent. We need to be able to read labels and don't put the alternatives on it. Require them to, if they're going to put the alternatives, then the main one that we are familiar with better be in parentheses. There needs to be more Proposition 65, not just in California, but in other states and other countries where we can know that what we're using may be potentially carcinogenic. I want you to be familiar with that word, carcinogenic, endocrine disruptors. Let's be familiar with these terms, okay? We need to have that transparency. So we need transparency. We need alternatives, especially if an alternative is reasonably feasible. We need to decrease our use of plastic all around, recycle the hair. And that's something I like about that same I know I'm talking about them a lot, but I really like their business model, because you can also send them your synthetic hair to recycle. That's how environmentally conscious and earth conscious they are, which I love. And so we want to support companies like their company and other companies that are small and doing the hard work, but they have to break these ceilings to be able to scale, to be able to meet your demand, right? Because if a company is overwhelmed by demand and they can't meet the demand, that could take a company under. So we need to be able to support these companies as much as we can, get their names out there, talk about them, find out who are doing the hard work. This is not the only company. There are a couple of them. I will list them below as well. I just didn't have time to go through all of them. I just want to use this one as an example to show you what their business model is like and how they are really doing the hard work to help us.
Hey, you guys, friendly reminder to support small businesses that have to compete against large corporations with big budgets.
That know how to change their marketing. The gaslighters, they change. That's all they do is they change their marketing. When you find out about a chemical, they change their marketing and they make it seem like they've done the hard work, but they really haven't. So it's up to us to all work together as a community to do the hard work of researching these things, come together, share the information, send us information, because sometimes y'all find out about things on these tickety-tockety platforms that I'm not on before I find out about it, right? So I want you guys to feel free to send us information, share your comments of things that you've heard, of things that you know about. And this includes even your tea bags, right? And I didn't go into all of that because, like I said, the food industry is a whole other meat and potatoes, no pun intended. But want us to really be active consumers, active citizens, active public, be publicly engaged, so that we are able to obtain the information and also hold our leadership accountable to make decisions and policies that are in our favor. We are the consumers. The reason why these companies are looking at a multi-billion-dollar industry, because those are your hard-working dollars, your coins that you go to work for 9 to 5 and you come home, or 9 plus 5 plus more, and you come home and some of y'all are doing overtime, right? Those are serious hard-earned dollars. They need to be accountable to us if they want our dollars, and we have to feel like we have the power to make these decisions. Okay, I'm gonna get off my soapbox, but I hope that I have engaged you today, made you aware, increase your awareness. And like I said, don't want you to feel overwhelmed. You do not have to make all of these changes in one swoop. That is unreasonable. But perhaps today you can change your shampoo. Perhaps today you can be changing your lotion. Perhaps today you can even just look at your products currently in your household to be more familiar with what you are currently using. Perhaps you'll change your carpeting. Perhaps you'll do major projects like that, right? Perhaps you will look into what you're using to as your blinds, right? Change that. Okay, be mindful of everything that's around you. Maybe switching out your clothing and buying less clothes. I know we like the availability of having multiple options with our clothes, and we can't do that with lower income, so we buy cheaper clothing, we buy a lot of cheaper clothing, but perhaps maybe considering buying less clothes, but buying safer materials. So I may not have 10 outfits from, I'm not going to name these companies because we ain't got that kind of protection, but I may not be able to get 10 outfits from one company that are quick to put on, especially summer outfits, but I may be able to get 2 outfits from a company that is environmentally conscious, that's using safe products. So it's also about us changing from high consumerism to conscious consumerism is really the goal, right? And so we have to really consider our wants and our desires and really look at how we're making these decisions about our lives. That being said, I'm Dr. T, the hand behind the handle of Healthy Bum Club right here on YouTube, giving you all the 411. And I'm also the hand behind the handle of Healthy Bum Club on Instagram and on Fanbase. We thank you guys for joining us. I hope I have enlarged your territory of knowledge today so that you can make better decisions for you and your family. So that being said, we hope to see you at the next time. And go out, look into these companies that are making a difference for you and I and helping us to live healthier lives. And we hope to see you guys when? Next episode.